Today we will find out if the crit damage was truly kept in this game. It is all about DPS build today. What is truly the best way to build your DPS units? So to understand how the testing worked, what I did is I went to the union boss. I went to this specific boss here, the blue one, and I used the exact same setup. So this is what I use for my testing purposes with all the builds you will see in the following. Didding, the Lily, just to give the turn real quick, Valerian for the attack buff, and then Kloss for the defense break, the speed down, and the hacking effect. And every single test was with the exact same situation. Everything was tested on a momentum battle will fury edge build. Quick thing in eigener Sache, if you didn't see it, I uploaded EWS review yesterday. Go check it out if you didn't see it already. And hey, if you're new, subscribe. Let's jump into the meats and potatoes of this video. PS set in this game. Now I have a couple of different builds. So what we basically was testing, like a combination of crit rate, crit damage, attack, double crit damage, that amount of attack, high attack, low crit damage, high crit damage, low attack, stuff like that. Basically trying different setups and see what truly is the best. Now obviously it's too small for you right now, but I'm just showing you by making these pictures bigger. So this was basically the first one we tested here. As you can see here, this is a balanced Didding with a crit rate and double crit damage build here. Didding has 3.5k attack and 369% crit damage, and as you can see we have a crit rate of 105%. Now how much damage did that net us if we look at this? Now if we make that screen bigger, by the way, the vulnerable doesn't really matter too much because in some certain scenarios it's only triggered for the second turn, so it's like whatever. But as we can see here, while making this super big, I hope you can see it, the first initial hit dealt 213k damage, and the second one was roughly 119k damage. Okay, so this was the damage output with a balanced build with crit rate, double crit damage in that sense. And for all of these now, the first ones I'm showing you are all with a count. Okay, now for the second one, actually the second build here, as you can see down here, is a different type of build. This is now the same amount of attack more or less, but way more crit damage, less crit rate, because this one now is a double. This is not a double, this is a full triple crit damage build, guys. So I went busted nuts just with the crit damage, all into crit damage. So we have 429% crit damage. How does the damage look like when we look into the union boss? What we can see here, the first hit was 220k damage, and the second one was also 119k damage, but that's because also of damage fluctuation and stuff like that. Also don't pay attention to the vulnerable here, because the vulnerable was applied with the second hit, so it did not even increase the damage. But overall the first number is more interesting nonetheless. The second number is like whatever, because the first number is where it's at, and we dealt 220k. Now you can already see, obviously we only decreased the crit rate, we went high on the crit damage, that we are dealing more damage. But with Didding it's also a different story, as you might remember, because with Didding, with the marker, we have a crit rate to crit damage conversion rate, but nonetheless we dealt more damage going into crit damage instead of going into the crit rate, right? But as you can see, even though we had like 360% crit damage and we went even overboard to like 430%, you see how much damage still went up, right? Now with the third option here, what I did was, I think it's a attack double crit damage build. Yes, so as you can see here, this is not a attack double crit damage build. We have 380%. I'm not sure if you can completely see it. I hope you can see it, guys. But I will still say 4,100 attack, so we have 600 more attack. We have less crit damage, more than the balanced one. And in terms of damage output, interesting enough, we dealt less damage. As you can see here, only 209k damage with the first hit, but the second hit was higher with 120% 3k damage. That is obviously because of the damage fluctuation. So all these numbers you can always go with like maybe like a plus minus 5k more or less, but that's what it is at the end of the day. But as you can see, the damage overall is noticeably lower when you play a Didding with an attack and double crit damage build. But that's not enough. We have a little bit more testing to do. Now next up, what we have here is, what did I do here actually? So I know this one is now higher on the crit rate side. Yeah, exactly. So I remember now what I did. This is now a double crit rate crit damage build, as you can see here. So I went double crit rate, so we have 136% crit rate, 1 into crit rate from 316% crit damage, 3.5k attack, still everything still with the count. And if we look at damage here with a double crit rate build on the Didding, you can see 213k damage with the first hit and 120k damage with the second hit. I can't really tell you now. The problem is I can't tell you if the second hit was with the vulnerable already activated or not. That's what I can't tell you. I think not. But as you can see, the damage is almost the same as the crit double crit damage build, or even slightly higher than the attack double crit damage build. And this one we went with double crit rate crit damage. I also did, I think, the whole thing a second time as well. If we look at this right here, right next to it, we see the initial hit being 206k damage. So there we have the damage fluctuation. So the 213k was more of the higher end side, and the 206k might be more on the average to lower end side of this specific double crit rate build, so you guys know. But this is not where the testing really ended, because what I also wanted to know is, since I was using the count, which give us an extra 1200% into attack, why not bring the White Fang instead? Now with White Fang, this is still double crit rate with 286% crit damage. So double crit rate crit damage build, basically 3.5k attack, and then for the outcome we had 150k damage, and the ticks of the White Fangs were roughly 80k. So we netted around 300k damage output with this, with the White Fang, because these ticks were 2 times 40k roughly. Now the next up, still everything with the White Fang, crit rate double crit damage build. So as you can see, higher crit damage, but on the White Fang I have a red crit rate piece instead of a red crit damage. That's why the crit rate is higher here. And if we look at the damage output now with crit rate double crit damage versus double crit rate crit damage, here with the White Fang, the damage output for the first hit was very similar, 152k. Now with damage fluctuation, that could be, as I said, plus minus 5k roundabout, but it is fairly similar. But now on the last part, or I think it's the last part, with the White Fang here. Now, actually, this one is now the attack double crit damage one. So this is the second last one. Attack double crit damage built with the White Fang. We did, as you can see here, maybe it's not that visible, but 160k. So that was fairly noticeable. Attack double crit damage was a lot better here, obviously, because we do not have the count. So that should actually make a difference. And as you can see here, it made slightly a bigger impact. We had 10k more. But now, last but not least, with the White Fang even, we went with a triple crit damage build here. So just full busted nuts into the crit damage. You see the attack, you see the crit rate, basically all the things considered the same, just the way we geared up the things here, right? And then we ended up with 167k damage. So overall, just from the Didding testing alone, you can tell already the highest damage output we were able to achieve was just straight up with a triple crit damage build, no matter if you went with a count or if you went with a White Fang. Now, I didn't want to end the test here because we were using the Didding as well. Now I tried something else, and we used Hoyan. Now, Hoyan was also quite interesting to see. Now, for the first one, this Hoyan was a more balanced Hoyan. This is a crit double crit damage build for the Hoyan, okay? And this crit rate double crit damage build netted us 276k damage. So this is what we get with like a double crit damage build. Now for the second one, we actually did, or I actually did, a triple crit damage. So I went low on the crit rate side, high on the crit damage, so full busting nuts on the crit damage, right? And what really happened was I got 323k damage. So it's like 50k higher than the first test with just one more crit damage into it. Increased the damage a lot. And then for the last but not least one I tested, so there's one test I actually didn't make. I didn't make the crit rate, crit damage, attack test yet, so that might be missing overall, but I feel like we get a better understanding nonetheless. Now for the last one, we actually did attack double crit damage. Okay, instead triple crit damage, attack double crit damage. And as we can see here, with the attack double crit damage build, we dealt 310k damage versus the triple crit damage being 323k damage. I think this overall should give you now a good understanding on how the damage calculation works. And from my results, my testing results, what I can tell you guys is the best way to gear your DPS units is prioritizing crit damage over attack. It is what it is. I don't know how it's calculated. I can only tell you from the tests I did. Having more crit damage overall nets you more damage output. Now, what is ideally the best build when you go for your DPS? It really depends on your substats, but I would say the best build moving forward for your DPS characters is crit rate, double crit damage, because Diding, for example, is a unique situation because he gains crit rate from himself, and this way you can just go with like a triple crit damage build because of his marker. Now with other units here, as you can see from the stats of my Hoyan, just for the testing purposes, the crit rate was not very high, and you want to make sure that you crit for your damage output, because you only benefit from crit damage when you crit. Makes sense. That's why crit rate, double crit damage is the way to go, and you basically get your attack either from, it doesn't even matter if you use like White Fang or Combo. Count, for example, is like a very good option, and you just get your attack from substats and stuff like that basically, and from lettuce investments as well. Now if for some reason you have the chance to get like super high crit rate thanks to like additional dupes and maybe through your substats, and you have like a very high decent crit rate chance, right? Then you can also just go with a triple crit damage build to really maximize the damage output of your characters. And yeah guys, moving forward, this is what I will do, focusing primarily on crit damage builds, because that nets you the absolute most damage on your DPS units. And guys, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, which was more of the technical side, but I also think you guys appreciate these testing purposes, so you know how you want to build your characters in the future. And guys, as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below. I really appreciate it, and see you with the next one. Deuces.